CS Kivuta. Karibu sana. Yes, welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I need the mic. You know, some people have a loudspeaker on their throat. But unless it's being recorded, unless... Do you insist on me using this? Okay. I'm obedient. My name, like Mr. Karanja said, is John Nganga. I think I only qualify to talk to you because I'm 70. But I've just met Justin, who has always been older than me, and I will never catch up. Because Justin Kimani is my friend, and he looks young, but isn't. He feels young. He was born 1940s, I was born 1952, so you can see he comes from another decade. and a few others may be like that. My discussion today, about 40 minutes, I have a timer, so I'll make sure I don't go beyond it. About 40 minutes. It's just to discuss about life in retirement. What is it? How do you prepare for it? How do you maximize those years? Those are the questions I'm answering. I'm not an expert. I just happen to be a retiree. So I'm sharing my experience and the lessons I'm learning out of it. And because I can see, I can see we are quite a few. Those are some of the things I thought I would deal with. But I think a few things that I want to say right at the beginning is you'll be better off if you have a pre-retirement planning. In other words, nothing works simply if you find yourself in it without preparation. And we must be grateful to Mr. Karanja that he is forcing you. Some people don't like to think. He is forcing you to think about retirement. Upende? Usipende. Because to me that's the most important input. As we sit here, we have 3 types of people seated here. The first category of people are called the people who do not learn from experience. They are called the unchanging. They do things the same way, irrespective of experience. I was another time asked to talk to a parents' meeting in a school, and they asked the parents, when you are young, were you beaten by your parents? And of course the parents were very excited. Wow, my father was terrible. My mother used to remove something from the fire and beat me. So all of them, they were competing to explain how badly they were beaten. Next question. They were asked, do you beat your children? And they said, yes. Third question. Do you think you gain much out of the beating? Oh, no. Then why do you beat them? So there's a difference between discipline and beating. And they claim what they got from their parents was not discipline, it was beating. And they said it did not work. In fact, made them beat against their parents. Then they admitted they are doing exactly the same. That category is not as rare as some people like to think. And even look at your own life. There are things that have gone wrong with life, but you still behave the same way. The other day you told your wife that her food had no comparison with what your mother used to make. And it was very rough. She was very annoyed. Why are you comparing with your mother? Now, then last week you repeated it. Now, are you not seeing that basically you are in that category that does not learn from experience? And to enter retirement with that kind of mood, please prepare to endure retirement, not to enjoy it. There are 2 types of people. Some enjoy retirement, others endure it. All of us must go through it. The choice is whether you enjoy or endure is yours. So I really would like to encourage you to come out of that thing. There are things at the age of 50, there are many experiences you have. Learn something from it. The next category of people seated here with me are people who are reactive. Normally when we call someone reactive, we are not happy with him. Am I right? But can you see a reactive person is a much better person? A reactive person is a person who waits for something to happen and learns from it. Can you see how good he is? A reactive person is a very good person. If something succeeds, he asks himself, what did I do that helped me succeed? And so he wants to repeat that because he knows it works. If something bad happens, instead of just crying and complaining, he also says, what can I learn from this bad experience? And so the good thing with reactive people, they do not at all repeat the same problem. Because every problem trains them. So by the time you come to retirement, you have had all those experiences, some good, some bad, but from both, you have learned something. So you live your life much better than young people can. That is if you are reactive and not the first group of unchanging. People who don't appreciate history doesn't affect them in any way. They never learn anything. These ones are very useful. The only thing we had from teachers that they told us, experiences are good teacher. What they forgot to tell you is a very expensive teacher. Please, if you have an alternative way of learning, don't learn from experience. Because although it's a good teacher, it's an expensive teacher. You know, you did something and your child died. Now, you have learned how to treat the other ones. But that first one is already dead. It's a very expensive teacher. So to me, this morning, I want to encourage you neither to be unchanging, not to be reactive, but to come to the third category. They are called the proactive people. Proactive people are people who never go to any project before doing a dry run. To be proactive means you live in the future in advance. You ask yourself, how will I be in retirement? Then now at the age of 50, you go to details like you're entering there. When I'm 70, how will I be like? And you gather all the information about life in the 70s, and you are living there, you can see the troubles in it, and then you ask yourself, what can I do? So a proactive person is a person who always lives in the future today. He always wants to go into something and think about it before it happens. Unfortunately, this category of people are very rare and very few. But those are the people who enjoy retirement. Because whether good or bad, the things that happen don't shock them. They saw a long time ago, they saw it happening, and they actually prepared for them. That's why people who are proactive will have the same challenges with you, but they will never be traumatized. Because they could see it coming before it actually came. So they're able to deal with it. But let me tell you the trouble you have. Our culture does not allow us to be proactive. This Muse is my old friend. Now, if I can see the way he is sitting, he's going to fall. I just looked away, he's likely to fall. In my culture, I'm not allowed to tell him he's going to fall. If I tell him he's going to fall, then he actually falls. What will the relatives say? I'm a witch. I bewitched him. So we normally allow him to fall. I knew it. I knew he was going to fall. I'm telling you about it. People say, you know, that Muse is going to fall. Like a human end. Let the owners say it. And I discovered, I used to think it's a Kikuyu problem. Then I used to work for Shell, and I got a chance to look after 10 countries. So I used to cover from Mauritius, Madagascar, this region in Djibouti, Sudan. And I discovered all the 10 countries I was dealing with, the culture is the same. People do not want to say something is going bad. In case they are the ones who made it go bad. There's a cultural belief that if you don't say something is going bad, it will stop it from going bad. And if you say it's going bad, you will make it go. First of all, we know it is not true, don't we? But that's the picture. You see somebody's daughter, the way they are standing at the corner with somebody's son, that girl will get pregnant. You don't tell the parents. The day she's pregnant, I say, I knew it. It's our culture. So our culture stops us when you want to think about the future. they have a problem. For example, insurance people have a lot of difficulty selling what they are calling last rights. Are they called last rights?
Yes.
Where you buy your own coffin in advance.
Yes.
The very thought, what's wrong with you? Now, but surely, there are some things you think might happen, and some you are sure will happen. Dying is not one of the ones you think might happen. The death rate is 100%. There's no likelihood you are not going to die, my sister. You are sure. So the kind of insurance you are sure will make will be useful. But you have a lot of difficulties selling. Why? Because our culture does not allow us to think about the future. And if you think about it, you make our work easier. Because you write a will. Now, the Unclaimed Financial Asset Authority has 40, I think they're talking about almost 50 billion. Am I right? All the 50 billion is because of people who don't prepare for retirement. And some of them are seated here. Now, before your money goes there, you came to this meeting. You need to think about one of these days when you're not alive, when you are dead. How will your family know where your money is? Can you imagine for how long banks have enjoyed this money? And it's in billions. Until a young man, another young man, he started telling me, do you know, we cannot allow the bank to have this money. I said, what are you talking about? About 15 years ago. He told me, I'll go to Parliament and try to lobby among parliamentarians. All that money should go in a parastato so that at least it can benefit the country rather than the banks alone. And he was able to work until he finally got an authority called, and he was the first chairman of that authority called Unclaimed Financial Assets. And the Unclaimed Financial Assets is a proof of people that don't think ahead. That cannot imagine. They imagine that if you think something can happen, it will happen. That's my main message for today. That if you are going to enjoy your retirement, you must stop that African cultural belief system that if you believe something will happen, something bad might happen, it will make it happen. The truth of the matter is, when you think about something wrong that could happen, 3 things happen. Number 1, it removes trauma. Because now when it actually happens, you knew it could happen, therefore you are not traumatized. You knew it could happen. You are not happy it happened, but at least you are ready for it. Number 2, there is a likelihood that you will do things that could stop it happening. Am I right? Yeah, some of those things you can actually stop. But if you actually never thought about it, you'll do nothing, it will happen. But by knowing it might happen, you actually got yourself to where you thought, what can I do to stop it from happening? And if you do it, it actually doesn't happen. But thirdly, and most importantly, when you think about something bad happening, you see it happening, you finally come to think, how can I reduce its impact? If it happens, how can I reduce its impact? I was in charge of logistics for Shell, which was then the biggest oil company in Kenya. And as part of that proactive culture, we started imagining our trucks going to Uganda having accidents. So you do your best, you train the drivers, you give them defensive driving skills. It's a way of stopping them having an accident. But then you tell yourself, in the most unlikely event that this tanker driver still ends up in an accident, it's bad, it has happened. How can you reduce its impact? So we went all along Mombasa to Maraba Road, identifying hospitals and arranging with them that if a driver is brought here, don't ask for money. Shell will look after. Can you imagine how many minutes will happen? If the guy comes and he's a card, or he says he's Shell, you ring the head office, you confirm it is our truck. They'll start treating him because they know they will be paid. Am I communicating? And you know those few minutes in an accident can determine whether you die or live. Am I right? But if you don't think about accidents happening, you can't stop them happening. And if they happened, you cannot reduce the impact. That's why you came here. You have to imagine yourself at the age of George 10. He died at 101. Imagine that God gives you opportunity. How kind of life will you live? What are the possible challenges then And if those challenges are there, how can you reduce the impact of being 101? That's what you are here about. If you do nothing about it, you might still be 101, but enduring rather than enjoying. The choice is yours. That's really we are here about. And I'm hoping, as we discuss, you ask yourself that. You know, like now, a lot of the things you are thinking about retirement, and I'll come because I realize I'm taking more time in my introduction than I intended. Think about the kind of things you need in retirement. You need food. Even if you are not able to work, you still need to eat, unless you want to commit suicide. So you must ask yourself, if I live to 100, and the trouble is you have worked for 40 years, and you are now 65, you are likely to live another 40 years. You need food for that long length of time. What about shelter? By the time you actually retire, obviously you must not be on a mortgage. So it's better to go for a cheaper house, but ensure by the age of 60, 65, you are not paying any rent. But you know, sometimes we confuse ourselves. The beautiful house is in Nyarugunga, the one in town you are renting. And you have to make up your mind. Where are you retiring? In Nyarugunga or in Abamatasia? Where are you actually retiring? Don't put the house in Nyarugunga if you are retiring in Abamatasia. Am I communicating? Because that's the thought you're talking about shelter. And I mean that will be product. Of course, even at that level, you understand that thing I'm saying. In old age, you should not just be rich. You should be liquid. A lot of old people are actually rich, but they are not liquid. And to be rich without being liquid, because you have property worth 100 million, and you get sick in our hospital, says, I'm rich. Accidentally, they don't know that met you. They want pesa, that's real. Am I right? And how long will it take you to sell your land? It's a totally useless. Old people don't just require to be rich, they require to be liquid. And that's a critical thing, you understand? And that's why I'm listing the things. Because none of these things can be sorted out by you being rich. They cannot be sorted out by you being liquid. Look at the next thing, clothing. Okay, that's not a big issue because since you are not in a beauty parade, you can wear the same dress for 20 years. But but you still need to wear. Especially because you don't want to look over old, although you don't like being old. So you have to have money for clothes. And I'm also saying this is where the biggest issue is medical care. I don't know whether some of you are in insurance, but I find these people there, if you're an MP, I really appeal to you. There's something wrong with our insurance industry. When we are young, they are selling our medical covers everywhere. They are pleading with you. You get 60 and nobody wants you. Am I right? There needs to be a law that forces them. They ate all my money and I never got sick. Now they are refusing. You know, I didn't know. Nobody prepared me. I retired. I had a share medical cover. Now I'm retiring. I'm not looking for my own. Try number one? No. Number two? No. Nobody wants anybody over 60. And those who want charge you a leg and a cow. Am I right? But you know, you need to think someone needs to talk to you earlier. Because I was told all you should have done is when you are about 58, have a medical cover. Although you still have your employer's cover, worth 5 million, now take a cover for $500,000. Because you are not taking it as a cover for now. You are forcing them. Because they are not allowed by the insurance, whatever, what do you call it? Yeah, they are not allowed to throw you out. So once you are in, at the age of 50, they will have to keep you even at the age of 100. But when you go there at 80, they will say, we don't have such a cover. Can you see? But if nobody told me. Nobody told me. that you need to find a way of entering. And if you are going for a cup of only $500,000, the premiums are very low, isn't it? It also can't be useful to you, but you know why you are entering. Now, but what I'm talking about medical cover. Now that you must know you need the medical cover will be needed, and now more than previously. So nobody prepares you. It's the most important item in old age. Food, not that important. After all, some taste you have lost. But medical cover, more than you ever needed. And that, of course, now takes me back to the shelter. That's why your shelter must be near the medical. The two must relate. If you go to Nyarugunga and you have a mansion worth 10 billion and you have no hospital of your own, you need an aircraft nearby. Because you just get sick. And to go to the nearest hospital requires a helicopter. Am I communicating? That's why your shelter and the hospital must be related. You can't go to retire in a place that has no medical care unless you want to be trouble to your sons. Now, a friend of mine the other day, where the parents retired, every time he is called, he rushes, and it's about 200 kilometers away. You know, he finally went to them and he said, Brother Mterombe said, you are not going back. What work are you doing there? Stay here. But you know, a lot of old people don't agree. They want to go to stay there. But he's the one suffering, driving at night. So he said, you stay here. Since you do nothing there, do the nothing here. The other day, the father passed away. We buried him. Now the mother is still there. In their 90s or in the 90s, thereabout. You need to learn early that a beautiful house in Nyarugunga is totally useless if the governor has not yet upgraded his hospital facility. And we are not discussing academics, these are real things, isn't it? So you are buried, some of you have buried your parents, am I right? So you know what I'm talking about. And you know once your parents die, you are next. It's a queue. The other day I was talking in a funeral of one of my friends. And I told you we are not humanity, we are young, we are only 70. Now, and in the funeral, when everybody started talking, you know, well, we are losing our parents. You know that means we are halfway. When finally it was my chance to talk, I said, how cheated could we be? Our parents were teenagers, so remember they were not going to school. So a girl would get married at the age of 16. You get the point? Because they become adults, puberty around 14, 15, by 16, 17, they are married. So they are only 16 years older than you if you are the firstborn. So when you die, you're only 15 years to death if you live to the same age. So how can you call it halfway? Now you need to understand when you bury your parents, start preparing. Akinyorewa yule, weka maji. And we are talking about if God gives you no more old age. It could happen earlier, but we are not reaching it to happen earlier. Live to the age of your parents. Am I communicating? Yes. So you need to understand. So medical care is something critical. And I can see Dr. Ekonyo is coming later in the program. That's an expert to ask him questions. Me, I'm just talking about how to prepare generally. It means build your shelter after you have identified where the hospital is. That means you might have to move away from your Nyarugunga, not because you don't like relatives, but because, unfortunately, there is no hospital nearby, and it will be important. Then we are talking about you need to be near where your hobbies are, because one of the things when you go to retirement is all those things you are unable to do earlier because you are trying to raise school fees for your children. Now the school fees is no longer an issue, so you now want to do your hobbies. So ask yourself, where I'm retiring, is one of these available? Talk about sports, travel, philanthropy. What are the issues? Are you a member of Rotary, whatever? Is there a branch near where you are retiring? What is it that you want to do? The above needs determine your budget. So you need to know to look at this budget and say, how prepared am I about it? So one of the things that happens, those are the needs. But the other thing you have to talk about is you have less resources. Because young age was supposed to be a time of accumulating wealth. By the time you get old, even someone like me, since I retired, I do consultancy work. But you are okay as long as you consult online. But the day they meet you and find you are 70, they wonder, hi. Back the other day I quoted for a business, and I thought I'm winning until they were asking questions about IT. I tried to convince them, but they could not believe at 70 I know what IT is all about. And that's how I know I was never awarded the contract. Now you need to understand, even you, when you are 40, you did not ever imagine a 70-year-old had anything useful. Am I right? So don't blame them. They just wonder whether you are thinking right. And might you be sent out? So you need to understand a lot of the things that businesses that could come up when you are younger, once you're in your 70s, they doubt your ability. By the way, they haven't proved it. They simply doubt it. Many of us can do a lot of good, but they don't want to try. So, less resources. The other thing you need to understand is, when let a lot of money, and you know the economic maxim, they have the risk, they have the profit. You know that the economic maxim, that anything which is not risky, everybody goes into it, and the profits go down. Are we together? So people like, if you sell drugs, the profits are very high, because any time we might put you back 10 years into a prison, isn't it? So very few of us want to be in prison, so we don't get involved. And that allows the few people who are crooks to get a lot of profit. The higher the risk, the higher the profit. They tell you, the moment you get over 60, avoid risky investments, because you might leave your family with trouble. So only enter into businesses with reasonable risk. But once you enter reasonable risks, the profits are also reasonable. They are not very high. Am I communicating? That's what you're talking about. That for example, you can buy shares, and even if 2, 3 years, 5 years, the losses are still continuing, you are getting nothing. Stay there 20 years, like the equity one, the ones who bought equity when they were building society, and it doesn't seem to bring anything. Now they are smiling, isn't it? But they are not telling you the story of the first 10 years, are they? Now the difference is, when you are 20s, do that. When you are 60s, you might be on the other side by the time it comes up. So you can't enter into that kind of risk. The risk where the returns are very high. And it's something you need to deal with. And I've talked about liquidity, and anyway, I'm trying to finish. Let me just talk about what ensures enjoying rather than enduring retirement, and I'm going towards finishing, so we allow a discussion. The first thing, if you are going to, at least talking about myself, I think what I count most important is to sort out yourself about death. Fear of death takes away joy during retirement. And you know, at the age of 70, I'm not old, but I've really lost a lot of my friends. By the time you are 90, you might be the only one. My grandfather died well over 100. And every time I went to the village, he would say, Johnny, he used to call me Johnny. What did I do to God? He said, Grandpa, why? Oh, people died. And even now, boys are dying. And he's not coming for me. My grandfather was to die, and he's not dying. Now, I can tell you, you need to deal with the issues of life and death. You will not enjoy your retirement until that is sorted out. You can't like it doesn't matter. You will die, and sooner rather than later. But the fact, the moment you have sorted out yourself, even if I was to die today, I know where I'm going, and understand my life after death, that fear of death disappears. If you don't sort it out, every time you have a TOEIC, you imagine it's cancer. And for the next 3 days before they verify, you have died. And you are still alive, but you are actually dead. You can't, you go to sleep and say, hey, cancer, I'm finished. Now, but if you are ready for death, it doesn't bother you whether it becomes cancer or not cancer. It will mean very easily that the matter will not give you trouble. So to me, the thing that keeps me happy is to be ready for death. That way, the moment you are ready for death, you start enjoying living. People who fear death don't enjoy living. Because now it doesn't, you not live all your life and are afraid, no, enjoy every day. And it will not happen if you don't prepare spiritually. You may throw it out, depends on your background, your belief system, whatever, but at least, whatever your belief system, you must sort out that you are dying sooner than later. Because nobody will be calling you a retiree or a pensioner if you are not in the process also declaring that they don't want you to get pension long enough. Otherwise, the pension schemes will die if you live forever. They have a date. And so I thought that's a matter that we need to ask yourself by the end of today, how ready am I about the issues of death? And maybe if you have not been putting any investment in spiritual issues, start asking yourself, if I believe I'll die like a dog, then there's no need for any preparation. Because a dog just dies, isn't it? Now, are you a dog? Now, if you believe you're a dog, maybe it's okay. But if you know you are human and the other things you think about, to me, that's an issue you must enjoy. Let me repeat myself. People who are not ready to die are not able to live. And that's an issue that you need to sort out for yourself. The second thing that will sort you out if you want to enjoy life is what I'm calling social preparation. In other words, if you retire in a place where you know nobody, isn't that why our parents refuse to come to town? And they insist on living there because there's a grandchild who will come, there is a whatever. Here, nobody knows them. So they don't want to go, they don't want to come to town. And they are right. Because you in retirement, you have more time, and you have more stories to tell, but every people are willing to listen. So you need to talk to each other. And I know my age mate, we go together, and a guy repeats one story the 10th time I'm hearing. But you're not allowed to tell him, stop, about that one. Now, that's how old people talk. I'm not communicating. You are not allowed to tell him to stop. But I was there, I know the story. No. Let him enjoy telling. In fact, friendship is because you are willing to hear my nonsense. I'm not communicating. Yeah. But young people feel, Papa about that story. Now you need another person who is wise enough to persevere and listen to your story. And it's important to find out, do you have those people? They will not appear when you are 80. You determine them by the time you are 50. And you talk to each other. And you say, how do you feel like, where can we go? So that if you are retiring, retire around the same place. People you talk to. Your quality of your retirement will be determined by the kind of friends you have. And so you have to find a way. Don't tell me you are preparing for retirement and you are throwing away your friends away. You need them. They are the ones who can hear your story. They are the ones who can tell you, Like, of course, one of the big challenges of in old age is parenting adults. When they are small, you pinch them, isn't it? And you sort of them. Now, when your son is 50 years and you are 80, he's also a grandfather, isn't it? It's only you are great and he's only grand. Now, but both of you are grands. Now, how can you talk to him? And you can see that you're making a terrible. But you are helpless, isn't it? You need a muse like Yanga to say, how is your place? Oh, they just did the same. Oh, then we cry together. Now you need to say, because you are powerless. Am I right? Was this? Am I right? You are totally powerless. You can pitch them. There's nothing you can do. You need somebody who can help you with the psychology of the issue. Oh, on a work, even your place. Oh, so it's normal. It's abnormally normal. In other words, I know it's abnormal, but it is normal. And that once you know it is normal, it's not just your home. It helps you to sleep at night. Am I right? Can you see the place for social preparation? You need them. One of the preparations you need especially is your spouse. You see what I told you? The other day, I think my wife went to her home village. She was from Eastern. And she was the time you like to move from place to place, seeing old people. She came up with an it's not a research. She saw many places she went. The wife looked strong, the Kamse is weak. So she started asking what could be happening. And it was clear. In that old age, there was the mothers whom you used to harass to cook for you are refusing to cook for the husband. It is payback time. How did you treat that woman all these years? Now you are helpless. You may say, I'll beat you. He'll beat you. So at that age, you are both helpless. So others are suffering like Kenyatta without bitterness. There's nothing you can do. So where will you report her? To which chief? And she says, today I'm too tired, I'm not cooking. Now, the guy never learned how to cook. And they are just the two of them in the village. Are you getting the point? And the grandchildren are not nearby so that you can plead with them to make something for you. Now, you need, when you are 50, it's the time to start preparing to befriend that kagao. Because when you are finally just the two of you, all this running around with the dogos and chungwas is a waste of time. The Noga chungwa is after you once you reach 60. Am I communicating? So, and now you try to go back to the original guy. He says, wait a minute, you went. Why are you coming? But have you seen a lot of men who ran to Kashungwas in their 60s, they go back to their first wife? Have you seen it? It's not willingly. The wife says, now I don't need you. You had a wife. Why don't you go back to her? When it refuses, on the seat they put some nails. When you try to sit, you wake up and you realize I have no alternative. I must go. You need to understand that one of the most important preparation for retirement is befriending that kagao. How do you do it? They are so difficult. The same way you did it when you were teenagers. She won, however. She agreed to marry you. But something has gone wrong. Try all those tricks now. If you used to take her for a Madasi, take her for a Madasi now. Okay, she may not like Madasi at her age. Find out what she likes. Invest. Courtship in old age is now not something you do because you want. You do it because you must. Because for now, you are not available. Not everybody is ringing you and wanting. Only that woman can take care for you. Okay, I'm talking because there are more men. I'm a man. I'm talking like a man. But it's the same thing. If you're a woman and you look down on your husband, wait until you are old enough. The other day, I'm just hoping you don't know who I'm talking about. The other day, a friend rang me. Why? Because the wife, his sister, old people, got sick. And the husband refused to pay the bills for the cancer treatment. Here, she's dying. Why should we waste more money? And now he went looking for another younger wife. Now he was like, what do you do? What do you do with such a chaos? You see, if you have mistreated your husband constantly, and then you make a mistake of getting sick earlier than him, it's payback time. Am I communicating? So sort it out now. Don't wait until you are sick, my sister. Befriend him. Find a way of, in old age, one of the most important ingredients of old age is the ability for the two of you, if you are still alive, to talk with one another, to befriend one another, to enjoy the stories. I hope you have about the kind of wife whom you are telling the story the 100th time. I think, I repeat it now. Because that's the only way of enjoying your old age. This one says, this is nonsense. You told me that last year. Now, that's not a good wife to have, but it's too late to change. So find a way of befriending her and telling her, darling, even if you know it, I have repeated it. For my sake, pretend not to have had it. That will make me happier. So basically, can you see? I don't take too much time, but I'm getting the point. Yes. That there's something you have to prepare in advance. And start befriending. There are some friends whom you dropped a long time ago. It is time to start looking for them. Not for their sake, but for your sake. People whom you know qualified to be good friends because they like you, It's only you who drop them. Number two, they are wise. They are not the kind of people who will be telling you to get a dogo at your age. Number three, they actually intend to see you prosper in old age. Look for those people and find them. So social preparation is critical. And it's not automatic. I've spent so much time talking about medical preparation. It's a part of it. Eating right, exercising right, because they are saying that those who have pain, who sweat during exercise, reduce their pain during sickness. I don't know how true the statement is. May I repeat the statement? Those who sweat during exercise reduce their pain during the sickness. So they tell us. I don't know how true it is. Ask Dr. when he comes. So it means then, at the age of 50, you have to start an exercise regime that helps you into old age to continue exercising. So that at least you don't go to a doctor and the doctor's medicine is start exercise. You should have known that in advance. Let him give you medicine rather than tell you to exercise because you're already exercising before. Anyway, medical preparation. The other thing I have put here is financial preparation. And again, each one of these, by the way, is a full subject. If you are spending the whole day talking about, you could spend an hour each on each one of those subjects. Because we need to talk about it and debate it. But financial preparation, you need, and this is where I'm too late, because 50 is too late to be preparing financially. But they tell me, the experts tell me, if you are 25 and you want at the age of 70 to start earning 100,000 per month until you die, the actuaries can actually calculate for you that 1,000 shillings per month could be equal to an annuity that will give you 100,000 shillings per month until you die. And yet, every month, you are producing only 1,000. Unfortunately, if you wait until you are 50, you might have to put 20,000 every month for you to, by 70, to start earning that. Are you getting the formula? So that thing is like a miracle. This compound interest thing is like a miracle, isn't it? Because you put so little, and you just put it in the calculator. These days they have tables, and you just see it, and it's like a miracle, just at the age of 25. So when you talk to a guy 50, you are 25 years too late. However, better late than never. So if you are 50, just go to a financial expert. Tell him, I have done my mathematics of food and everything I need. And I think that by the age of 70, I want, without working or doing anything, I want to be earning 100,000. And I'm now 50, so it's 20 years away. How much do I have to save per month so that the annuity will give me 100,000 shillings per month until I die? And actually the table will show you the figure. And even at the age of 50, it's better to start giving it now, because at the age of 60 it will be worse. Are you getting the point? So it's important to understand that you need to be clear. Of course, one clear thing is, by the time you are retired, there should be no mortgage. You should not have a loan that is making you sweat. You must be at that level, reaping where you are sowing all the years. You should not be relying on employment, having to pay mortgages. You are left with the items I listed earlier. Not a way of frightening things with the people coming to call on you because they want to take you to court. Come to that level. The other thing that another financial preparation is ensuring in your businesses you are handing over to somebody younger. You still retain the chairmanship, but you are not the CEO. That way you are able to advise. But even if you are to decide this week I'm sleeping, the business will still go on. And that is whole issue is called succession planning. But you need to find a way of withdrawing yourself. The only thing is, I always tell all the people, don't withdraw to where you start depending on your children. It is dangerous. You know, there are some families where they divided all the land and they left themselves with nothing, isn't it? Then the son says, build there. No, it's my land. Why can't you build? You have 5 sons. Why me? All the 5 sons refuse. In your own land, you have nowhere to stay. It's foolish. To hand over everything when you are still alive. Hand over 90%, retain 10%, so that even if they fight only over 10%. Are we together? That means you do not rely on your children when you are alive. You can be financially independent. Except if there is a crisis, you get sick. Sickness can go beyond your medical scheme. Am I right?
Yeah.
But normal living, you should not be dependent on your children at all. You know, when I call children, your son has married a wife, isn't it? Who wonders why that Muse interfere with us? You are going to have taken me to Seychelles. Now you can't because of that Muse. Why is he not dying? Now you need to get to that. To get to that level is not wise. Find a way of preparing financially, never to need your children's money, except if they give it as a gift. Am I communicating?
Yes.
That's why you're even handing over your properties to them in advance, not you requiring their help. And that's something you have to work on and be ready for. Then the last item I'm calling ministry prep. You need to find a way of remaining valuable. Right up to the time you are 100 years, you need to create some system that allow me to be a useful member of society, not a dependent. So find out what you can do. What are things? The other day I was speaking to a meeting like this, but I was recorded by the Presbyterian Church moderator to talk to the clergy who are 59 to 65 because they retired at 65. And I was telling them, you have been being paid. You are being paid for advising people. In old age, you can become a free clinic where nobody needs to be paid to pay you as a pastor. Because you have looked at yourself financially, create a system of philanthropy. Are we together? And people come to you, like the vice chairman said, you know one or two things that time people don't know, isn't it? So you now don't charge it. Okay, until you are 70, continue charging. But in old age, you don't charge it. Because the thing that makes an old man happy, it will feel needed. You will not be needed just by charging money. It is by becoming the kind of a person who is a moving dictionary, available to advise people, and feeling even at the age of 90, people are still coming to consult you. Am I communicating?
Yes.
You know, when it is free, they are willing to come. When you charge, they say you are too old. Now, so just be available. Are we together? Yeah, we are available. Yesterday I was speaking to a group of students in Moranga University, and of course, when I told them, I was a leader of the cricket in 1974 in the university. First they ask you which university. I tell them, in our days, somebody asked you which. There was only one. And then they tell me what the dates I'm talking about, even their parents were not born. Now you can see they want to hear how was it. Now that's what old people enjoy, talking the things these people have no idea about. We are talking about preparing to be a minister, to give things freely without charging. Unfortunately, I've taken longer than I've taken 48 minutes. I was told 40. Just forgive me.